welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Aketuna Evelyn, the mushroom crown princess. Yes, the mushroom crown princess. So today we are going to learn about how to turn compost. In our previous video we learned about formulation of compost. Have you formulated your compost? Well, if no, then you are lacking behind, and if yes, leave your comment at the comment section and tell me what your challenges are in formulating the compost so that I can assist you. So today we are going to learn about how to turn your compost. So after formulating the compost, you have to turn it for proper decomposition to take place. So how are you going to do the turning? We are going to talk a little bit theory about it, and we go to the field for practical experience on how to turn your compost for uniform decomposition for your mushroom production. Stay tuned and watch till the end because it's going to be very much educative and very exciting. So first of all, why do we turn compost? Why is it necessary to turn your compost? So we turn compost in order to supply oxygen, and before you can supply oxygen you have to turn the compost so that the outermost layer or the outer edges can also go through the middle or the down layer. So you have to turn compost. This turning process, or with the relocation of the substrate from one layer to another, enables oxygen to accumulate in your substrate. Also, turning is very important because it helps for you to get a complete decomposition and also prevents odor. So you realize that if you don't turn your compost, there will be accumulation of carbon dioxide in your compost, and it also leads to odor, generation of smells or odor in your substrate. So there is a need for you to turn your compost in order to accumulate oxygen and also eliminate odor. So the next question is, how long does it have to take before you can do your turning? So based on the size of your compost, so if your compost is 1000 kg, 2000 kg, 25 kg, so based on the weight or the size of your compost, have to take about a range of 4 to 6 days for you to turn your compost based on the size of your compost. So from the range that you choose to turn your compost, that is between 4 days to 7 days after the formulation of the compost, then you go about your turning. And the turning is done in order to change the layers, because the topmost layer, the middle layer, and the downwards layer, there is different decomposition rate that is occurring. So you have to do the turning within this range of days after your formulation of compost in order to get a complete decomposition or a uniform decomposing of your substrate. So the next question is, what happens if you don't turn your compost? Somebody will say that, okay, after formulating I can leave it there like that, so a long time every part will decompose. So what is the negative effect, or what happens to your substrate when you don't turn your compost? Anaerobic fermentation begins to occur. Then the bacteria that are supposed to cause the decomposition or break down the substrate goes on dormant, and when it goes on dormant, then you'll be having a lower rate of decomposition. So when I formulate my compost with the same day with another person, and within this range of 4 to 7 days I've done my first turning, the person have not turned his compost yet, you realize that my substrate or my compost will be ready for bagging whilst the other person's substrate is still undergoing through the decomposition process. So turning of compost also enhance the rate at which the substrate decompose or gets ready faster for you to go into your production by bagging. So someone who is not turning the compost, when you go to his or her farm or the environment that he have formulated the compost, you realize that there is bad odor or smell all around the place. So you have to turn your compost to eliminate this smell. And also your turning of compost add oxygen to the substrate, which the importance of turning is to eliminate odor, to increase the rate of decomposition, to add oxygen to your substrate. So we also know that the more there is oxygen or air in the substrate, the faster or the highest the rate of decomposition, and your substrate will get ready for you to produce your mushroom. So that is the importance why we need to turn our compost. So let's look at the side of turning compost too much. Someone will ask, okay, can I turn it too much? So every day I'll go and turn, every 2-3 days I'll go and turn. No, because the more you turn, or the frequency of your turning also interrupts the activities of the bacteria and fungi that are causing the breakdown of the substrate or the decomposition process. So when you realize that when you are turning every day, or you are turning most of the times, then you'll be interrupting with the activities. Then too much turning also prevent the substrate from heating up, because the decomposition period, the substrate have to heat up and then break down. So if you turn frequently, you'll be eliminating the heat, and thereby it will not heat up and it will not give you a correct or a good decomposed substrate. So you have to follow the range of turning between 4 to 7 days based on the size of your substrate. You have to do turning about 3 to 4 times before your substrate will be ready for you to start your bagging process. And without turning there will be accumulation of carbon dioxide, there will be slow rate of decomposition, and then your work will delay. So it is advisable also to do your turning, but not to do it frequently or everyday basis. So right now, let's go to the field and let's experience how turning is done practically on the field. Check the mushroom process out on the field. Let's go. You are welcome to today's lesson. On practical base, we are going to learn about how to turn your compost for your mushroom production. So this is our compost and it is heat. So after you have formulated your compost, on the 4th day or 5th day, you come to do your first turning. So the turning, you have to remove the layers of the substrate. So you have to remove the first layer, then the second layer, which is the middle, and then you remove the last layer, because the decomposition rate at the last layer is different from the middle and the top of the layers. So first of all, we have to remove the first layer. So let's watch out how the layers are removed. Okay. So let's pack this aside. So we have removed our first layer. We pack it and heap aside. So take it. Don't enter there. Take it from there. It's okay. So we have removed the first layer. Then this one is the middle or the second layer. So we have to also remove it and put it aside. So we have separated our various layers, having this as our 3rd layer, which is layer C, and then our first layer, layer A, and then second layer, layer B. We've realized that the first layer, the decomposition rate there is higher than the second layer and then higher than the 3rd layer. So this is our first turning, and in our first turning, we will bring the second layer downwards because that one have undergone through partial decomposition. And the first layer is also exposed to the air, the environment, so the decomposition rate at the first layer is very less. But the 3rd layer have undergone through a full decomposition and a lot of heat is retained inside. So right now we want to rearrange the layers to form our second heap, which at 4 days or 5 days time we come back for our second tanning. So at this first stage of tanning, the second layer, which is the layer B, will go down. It have undergone to partial decomposition already, so it will go down for full decomposition to take place. So right now we are going to heap our second layer to be our first layer this time round. So as you are also turning, you have to add water to enable respiration to take place for easily decomposition and breakdown in the tanning. Okay, so we have heaped our third and second layer. The third layer is now this one, which is the one that was downmost. So right now we are going to bring it on top, because this one have undergone to a full decomposition rate. So the second layer is down, the first layer is on top, and then the second layer is down, the third layer is now on top of the second layer, and the first layer will come up for the tanning to be complete. So
yes,
So as you are arranging the layer, you have to keep it in the form of a cone. And as I said, you have to also add water to enable a proper decomposition rate. So right now, we have rearranged our layers again. So right now, we have rearranged our layers again. So from ABC to C to from ABC to BCA. This is our first tanning, and that is the arrangement that your compost have to undergo through. This brings us to the end of today's lesson, tanning of compost after 5 days of the formulation of compost.
A summary diagram that shows us how the tanning process goes. So this one shows us the first day of composting. After we have formulated our compost, we heap it in a cone form, and we'll be having 3 layers, A, B, C. So that is on the formulation of compost day. This is the layers that we obtain. So after 5 days, we came back to do first tanning, and on our first tanning we had CBA. So in this first tanning, the B, which have undergone to partial decomposition, have come to the bottom to be allowed to go through fully decomposition, and the A, which there was no or little decomposition, have moved to the middle to also go through that partial decomposition. Meanwhile, the C, which was down and have undergone to fully decomposition and heat up or cooked up, have moved to the surface. So for there we had CAB. That is your first turn and how the arrangement will change. So we realized that on our second turning, the A, which was on the top on the day of formulation and moved to the middle for partial decomposition on our first turning, have now moved to the bottom for complete decomposition on our second turning. And then the C, which was on the bottom on the first day of formulation of compost, which have undergone through fully decomposition, have now also moved to the middle. And then the A have also moved to the bottom. So the A, first day, it was on little or no decomposition layer, and the first turn it came to partial decomposition, and on our second turn it have undergo through full decomposition. So as the B, which was partial, on our first turn it went through the fully decomposition, and on our second turn it have come to the top. And the C, which was fully decomposed on the first day of formulation of compost, have also come to the top and then to the middle. So you realize that all the stages have moved through all the 3 layers. So after the second turning, you realize that there will still be a heat in it. That means decomposition is still taking place. So it goes back to the arrangement of the day of formulation of compost, and then the process continues down again till there is no heat or less heat, or there is no smell or odor in the substrate, and also the color of the substrate have changed to dark brown. That means your compost is ready to be used for bagging. So this is an illustration of how the turning of compost takes place. So composting takes about 3 weeks to 1 month for softwood, and hardwood can take about a month to 2 weeks for decomposition to be complete.
This brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have learned a lot. And if you haven't formulated your compost, start formulating, start your turning process, because it's going to be more exciting, educative videos coming up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Leave me a comment at the comment section. A thumbs up, and see you in my next video. For now, bye bye. The Crown Princess.